The opinions expressed by the host and guests in this show are not necessarily the views of Children's Health Defense.
Good morning, CHD. It is June the 10th. It's Wednesday. It's 2026. We're live here. Children's Health Defense. Where is Children's Health Defense today? Take a look behind me. We are right here. We are standing on the roof of the Maha Action building. Below us right now as we speak, there's a big breakfast going on. We've got Rob Schneider here. We've got so many military people here. Big people that you'll see in the film. Many of you have seen them on CHD TV before. But look, Pam Long is here, head of our military chapter. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be here with CHD.
And what a view we have this morning. See this.
Take it in, America. We are so happy to be here for CHD Lobby Day, the first ever CHD Lobby Day.
Yeah, so during the day, Michael Caine is leading a whole group of people. So EMR team, Miriam Eckenfels, our director of EMR, she's out there. They're all going to be going around lobbying, talking. It's all planned out. And there's going to be a big, so all of you need to make sure that you are set up for the breaking news text alerts on CHD TV. Make sure it's those ones that you're signed up to. It's completely free for you. And what Lou will do is he will text you the minute we're live from the building. And there's going to be all kinds of exciting things. I think, Pam, you're talking, aren't you?
I'm talking tonight after the film. Do we want to talk about the film?
Yeah, let's talk about the film. So, well, this is not the premiere of the film. We've already had a little online premiere. So this is now at the Congress Theatre. Tell us about it, Pam. Actually, I'll let you do it.
So tonight, Duty to Disobey at 6 p.m. We have a special screening. We've invited Congress. We've invited members from the Department of War and the Pentagon. We will have a huge military community. We're so grateful, so many people. We have a theater that will fit 400 people. It's an honor to be able to go through this process and get this film approved to show to both our government and our military leadership.
Now, for the Department of War to be sending people to Duty to Disobey, that says to me that they must have seen the film or know something about this film for them to turn up. I mean, how many of them turn up to any of our other films or any of these big people? Something big is happening here already.
Well, part of the process we had to go through to secure this event and venue was for the Oversight Committee to view this film. So we know that members of our government and the Department of War have screened this film, and I get the feeling by sending a representative from senior leadership that they are in support, that they want to restore our military members. But we need the public to turn out to over 100 screenings nationwide on June 30th to pressure our government and our Department of War to make our service members right after the unlawful COVID mandate.
Now, you, the people, can watch the film on the 30th of June. Go to dutytodisobeyfilms.com, and there's over 100 theatres that have tipped and are ready to go. So get in there and enjoy that. It's going to be military members all around the country and Children's Health Defense that are going to be there as well, and a few celebrities. So make sure you're there, because why is it important to support the military?
It's so important. Our military members, they have the same rights as anyone else is regarding health freedom, that they have constitutional rights. We want to make sure that all the wrongs during the COVID mandate for discharges, loss of retirement, loss of benefits, loss of rank and pay, all of that is restored, and that is the aim of this film.
Oh, Pam, if it wasn't for you, I know we've talked about this a long time, this film wouldn't even be happening. So to you, thank you so much.
We are so grateful that Children's Health Defense made this happen.
Now, we are live here right now, but just behind me right now,
Live?
yeah, look who's just here. Oh, look who it is.
Hello, Polly. How are you, darling? It's such a pleasure.
Why are you here? It's so good to have you.
Why am I here? Because of you. This is a hero. Polly Tommey, by the way, this wonderful woman stood up and was an inspiration and intimidated me into getting involved in this organization and this thing. Because somebody like you standing up for this and standing up for children, I mean, it was so inspiring.
Yeah, well, it's still
You
happening.
sucked me into the cause like a vacuum.
Well, thank you.
A vacuum of integrity and dignity.
And your beautiful children are here today as well.
Thank
They
you.
are beautiful.
And the goal of Children's Health Defense, though, is literally, if you take a look at Big Pharma, what they do is they want unfettered profits no matter what the cost, and the cost being the injuries, the countless injuries to children and families and the heartache that they've caused. But for Polly, Tommey, and for Children's Health Defense and all the people and the children who have had to who've suffered these injuries. All the parents want to do is they want to educate other parents to prevent that heartache. And they say, how do you not get involved in that? And so for all the people that are listening, it's like it's an honor to be a small part of this organization and to be involved at all. And now they've energized America, because it really is, it's getting Americans healthy, getting children healthy. And that can be done, and restoring the rights to people and the knowledge of the rights that they have. And that is a tremendous organization to do that.
Well, we're really grateful to you for everything you do. And it's very brave of you to stand up, because I know it's not been easy.
What's not been easy?
Just people being mean to you.
Who was mean to me? When did this happen? I didn't. I'm just finding out about this now.
Oh, no.
People been mean to me? Why would they do that?
I never listen.
It's the truth. I'm just telling the truth. Why did it? No, that's so funny. But I just, getting involved early. He's like, I was talking to Dr. Brian Hooker, and it's like, well, it's the truth. We just tell the truth,
well, that's right.
and then everybody will know, and then it'll change. And it's like, what? It won't change? Why won't they change? So it was just purely, some sort of lack of realization of what we're up against. But I will tell you though, it's the incremental steps that you take to make a change in society, to make a change. For this film tonight that we're going to watch,
right.
It's about duty. And what is duty? Well, it's the idea that these rights come at a cost. You just don't get rights. Rights is one half. Just like you have a front, you have a back. You don't have a back without the front. You don't have a front without the back. So you don't get duty. You don't get rights without duty. And so the people who do the duty are our soldiers. These people who put themselves on the line and risk their lives for our freedom, and so that we can have rights. And so what happens is the people who had the duty had the rights taken away. And it's, that isn't what America stands for. But the thing about it is that we do have the potentiality, with our Bill of Rights and our Constitution and our division of powers, to have a correction and to have the alarms going off in our society, so that we can reset things and to do it in a way that it doesn't take a whole generation. So just like we're working towards getting children healthy again, I think we could also restore for these soldiers the rights that were taken away from them, and the fact that and to remind society that this was an injustice, and an injustice that needs a correction. And so I'm very fortunate and grateful to these soldiers who stood up for that, because it really was something. I would say in the very recent past, it was a dark period in our history. That is being exposed and hopefully corrected now, so these next group of soldiers won't have to have that.
Isn't he the best? He's the best. Pam Long, the head of our military chapter, going woo woo woo. Okay.
Well, I just listened to your other interview and just stole most of that.
Right,
I'm an actor, professional actor, professional liar. That's what I do. I just make these.
That bit's going to go viral now. All right, listen up.
No, but it really is an inspiration to be around, and also it's just fun to be around these people who have put themselves out there.
I know.
And it is nice, and it really is. You meet people from Connecticut, Connecticut's a tough state, and you meet people from Texas and Idaho,
right,
which is an incredibly open state that's moving in our direction, and you just have to start the fight.
We have so many big people standing here, but I know we got to go.
Start the fight.
I would continue on with Leslie Manugan. We've got so many people here.
Yes.
But we have to go.
Is it over?
What
did I say wrong?
Nothing, but we got another segment coming up.
No! Why? This was going so well.
Cut. No, I'm only kidding. Okay, so guys, go live later. You'll see much more of Rob and so many other people.
We will.
And so we will keep you updated on
Promise.
how the day's going. Okay. Big love to you all. Pray big. See Children's Health Events. And
you can do it, CHD.
And now we're going over to Mothers to Be.
Hello.
Good morning, CHD TV. My name is Isabella Yon, and welcome to our Mothers to Be segment, where we chat all things preconception, pregnancy, birth, and that precious first year of life. Today, I'm joined by the amazing Kristen from the Reclaiming Birth Conference, who's going to be sharing a little bit about her birth experiences and what led her to create this amazing event. So thank you so much for being here, Kristen.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here.
For those who may not know you and the work that you do, can you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. The Coles Note version is I was a former NICU nurse of 14 years, so I was completely indoctrinated into that environment. I feared birth, thought it was dangerous, actually thought home birth should be illegal, and anyone that was choosing that was stupid and reckless and putting their babies' lives at risk. And that was the culture that I was a part of. And so my first two sons were born in the hospital. I would say uneventful. Looking back now, I would have different things to say about it, but at the time they seemed like uneventful births. That's just what it is. You go in, you're told what to do, and there's your baby. I started to learn more around 2019, 2020, when the world was kind of changing. The veil was lifted from my eyes, and I could see more of the harms we're causing within the system, within the NICU, that we were, the interventions were causing harm that we were then saving people from. And I remember when I first learned about undisturbed physiological birth, I felt robbed of an experience I didn't know existed. And I didn't know if we'd have another baby. I didn't know if I'd actually be able to experience birth the way it was meant to be. And praise be, I say, I thank God for blessing us with a third baby. That just so happened to be my redemption birth, is how I look at that experience. And it was the most amazing, hardest thing I'd ever gone through. And after that, I just thought, wow, like so many women are missing out on what our bodies are capable of what it means to grow life and bring life into this world. And I want to share it with as many women as possible. And that's how
Amazing.
Reclaiming Birth came to be.
Yeah, I love that so much. So you touched on it briefly, but you had two hospital births, correct? And then you had a home birth. Let's chat about your home birth experience, if you don't mind just running through a little bit about that story. I feel like I personally love listening to other encouraging birth stories, and I know many of our listeners do also. So if you don't mind sharing, we'd love to hear just a little bit about that home birth experience and what that looked like.
Yeah, I was 39 going on to 40. I was entering the advanced maternal age, geriatric pregnancy, as the medical system would like to call it. But it was my most peaceful pregnancy and experience that I had ever had. And we had, two losses as well. And, just being able to fully trust my
Mhm.
body. And after the losses, I remember I bring that up because there's a lot of fear. It's like, well, I lost, babies, and you think you can go into the medical system and it'll save it or change the outcome. And I just remembered with this one, it's just going to be.
Yeah.
And having that sense of peace and trust was so incredible during the pregnancy. I came more into my body than I ever had before. I was able to connect with my baby, and I just could feel this sense of peace and trust. Like, you're okay. Like, you're going
Mhm.
to be okay, and you're going to, come into this world the way you're meant to. And was about 39 weeks. I ended up going into labor. My husband was off at a poker game. I was home March break. It was the first day of March break. And it was like she knew. I didn't know I was having a girl until that moment, until I started to feel some intensity. And I was like, oh, we're going to meet baby girl today. And called my husband. He came home and called our traditional birth companions. I had a dear friend come over, as well as Billy Harrigan, who is really the whole reason why any of this really exists. The work that she's doing is incredible. And it was really intense. I felt it all in my back. I don't like giving it a name, but for those that experience this, you've heard of back labor, that intensity that doesn't let up. And my husband just never let his hands off my back, just counter pressure the entire time, which was a huge change from him being a bystander
Yeah.
from the hospital births. He was fully involved in this birth, this labor, our process. And I remember at one point trying to get comfortable, trying to find a place, and tried the shower, tried the water, and I just ended up laying across the kitchen floor, grabbed, the leg of the chair, and just
Whatever
held
works.
that's just whatever works. I remember thinking, I've done the work. This is going to be pain-free and blissful. I'm going to have a birth photographer do all the things. I never wanted to call her. She did not come. And I was like, I just need to be in this moment
Yeah.
fully, and held on to that chair and allowed my body to go into the liminality space, which is the between and betwixt, right? Where you actually get out of your neocortex, you get out of your head, and you
Mhm.
allow your body to do what it does.
Yeah.
And I remember this place because I just thought, how am I going to get through this leading up to that? But when I found this place to lay down, grabbed onto the kitchen chair, um, I visualized my body opening and baby coming down. And that is all I focused on, and breathing. And I ended up dreaming. You have those 10-second dreams. And I was like, oh my gosh, am I sleeping? Like, how am I sleeping through this? But your body just gives you that little bit of rest that you need. And all of a sudden, I got up. Now I see it. It's called the catecholamine surge. You get a surge of adrenaline to you, to baby. It wakes you up because you're about to welcome baby into the world. I did not know that's what was happening, but I thought, oh my gosh, am I delaying this process? Like, just laying here? I need to get up and do something. And that's because baby girl was close. I ended up changing positions, going to my bed, and I was trying to find again to get comfortable, and all of a sudden there she was. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a head. And she just came out and call. It was almost like a little water
Wow.
balloon. She came out, and then just I watched her come out and call, but then the burst, and there
Yeah.
she was. And I
Oh,
remember the first thing, just staring at her and just saying, we did it.
yeah. Oh, that's so amazing. That makes me want to do it all over again.
I know. It's pretty incredible how we're designed, like, to go through that intensity, but then
Yes.
it goes away and you're just like, that wasn't so bad. Let's
I
do that
know.
again.
I know. I was saying to my husband, it's a weird addiction in a strange way. Like, I would just do it like so many times, but in the moment,
Yes.
it is really intense, but it is so beautiful. So I'm so glad you got to experience that. And what made you, because obviously you had this incredible experience, what made you then decide, okay, I want to like publicly advocate for women to have this same experience?
I had to become, I guess, fairly vocal and a little bit well known from 2020 to 2023 for my views on what was going on in the world at that time.
Nice.
And I was blessed with a voice and a platform. And I just thought, from my experience in working in the neonatal intensive care unit,
Yeah.
with my ignorance at that time, I would tell friends, that they were making a terrible choice. I was part of giving babies their first injections. I felt it was now my responsibility. I can feel it. It always gets me emotional thinking about. I was placed in that role for a reason, so I could see the inside for what it is.
Yeah.
And now it is just my responsibility to change it,
Mhm.
and not change it from the inside. I don't believe that we're meant to change the systems from within. I believe we're meant to understand how we're created,
Yeah.
and to come into that trust, to restore trust in our body, in our faith, and how we're meant to grow life and bring life into the world. And that is the focus of Reclaiming Birth. Not so much of how to change the industry, how to fight against it, how to advocate within it. It is to restore the trust that was broken with our bodies.
I
Mhm.
love that. I love that so much. And I'm just so personally grateful for the work that you do. And I think you're right. Working in the NICU gave you an even more powerful voice to be able to speak about what you saw and what you learned during your journey. So we appreciate you. Let's talk about your fantastic Reclaiming Birth conference. What is it, and how did it get going?
Yeah, we are entering our fourth year, which is pretty wild to believe. We're kind of in a name change. The website's still reclaimingbirthconference.com, but you'll hear us talking about Reclaiming Birth Gathering. And it's a gathering of the like minds. It's the gathering of those that know that there has to be another way. Maybe they just feel it in their body, that they just know that life is, meant to enter the world differently. They know there must be something out there, but they don't know who to turn to. Right? We've been told midwives, OBs, hospital, or this, and so it's for those that know there must be something different. It's for those like myself that maybe have gone through the system and saying no more. Those that have had a traumatic experience and know there must be something else, and those that just want to preserve birth, as sacred, that revere it, that honor it. We bring in, traditional birth companions, those that want to learn about undisturbed physiological birth, about how we're designed. And it's bringing people together that, again, don't want to change the system, but want to return back to life, return back to, innate wisdom, ancestral wisdom, how, how we got here, right? Obviously birth was not broken. We've made it this far as a species for this long. And so it's more of, that's why it's reclaiming, a reclamation, a returning to what always was.
I love it. I love it so much. Would you say that this would be suitable for expecting mamas or those who are even just thinking about trying to conceive? Do you have any kind of messages for them if this?
Absolutely. That would be the ideal, is to get women that are expecting that. Even before that, I always say, get this information before you're even pregnant, so you can start the unlearning, the deprogramming, or the removing the fear that is placed on us from culture. Get in the room before. What we have observed is that would be the ideal person to enter the room. They're not always ready. So they have to be willing and wanting to learn, to take that responsibility and want to claim the power within them. And so if that is for women, they know there's another way, please come into the room. I think it's far more valuable to learn this information prior to your first experience than, like myself having a redemption birth, right? We want everyone's first birth to just be incredible and positive and beautiful the first time around, without having to go through the trauma and then, relearning. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I 1000% agree. What kind of topics are covered? What can people expect if they join? What will they learn about?
Yeah. We have amazing people coming. Billy Harrigan is going to be coming, talking about, how the body works, physiological birth. We use that word a lot. What is that? Well, she describes it as a beautiful orchestra, right? Like our hormones, our music, and everything works together. So you're going to learn how the body was actually designed. Nothing is by mistake. We've brought in people talking about breastfeeding, how the birth and lactation is all connected, because our bodies are not separate, right? Everything leads into the next. So postpartum, how our birth can, affect our postpartum, and how we can make that a beautiful experience. We're going to be talking about motherhood in general, about home birth, about what a traditional birth companion is, what that looks like to even birth out of the system, what that means, what it means to take on that responsibility with yourself and who you're inviting into the room. We're going to have someone talk about the psychology behind birth, from the girls from APA, the psychology of postpartum, which is in pregnancy, which is amazing, and VBAC, right? Lots of women have gone through C-sections and they're told that, well, this is it. Once a C-section, always a C-section. And we know that's not true. So we're going to have the VBAC mom come and just share stories and her experience, and just hopefully so women can feel empowered that it doesn't have to be that way. There is another option for them.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Well, it sounds absolutely fantastic. Where and when is it? When is the conference happening?
Yes, we're looking at September 11th to the 13th. So we're going to make some changes to the website. We're going through a location venue change. It's going to be at hopefully Mount Alverno in Caledon, very close to the Toronto airport for those that are traveling in from afar. We want to make it as accessible as possible in this beautiful space in nature, right? As we connect to our bodies, we connect to nature, and it's all encompassing. And yes, September 11th to the 13th, coming up this fall. And one of the things that we really want to hone in on this year, we've been doing it all along, but this year we really want to make space for more connections. We know that it's one thing to learn all this information from speakers. It's another when we come together and we actually get to learn from each other, right? Share our stories, share our experiences, and be in that energy of one another, even hear from other businesses and their skills and what they're doing. And we really want to create these deep connections. So when people return to their hometowns, wherever they came from, they feel restored and renewed, and they can continue to be the beacons of light wherever they are placed. And that is how I see the ripple effect taking place. So really focusing on the in-person connections we're creating.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And for people to purchase tickets, can they go to that reclaimingbirthconference.com website? Is that the best route?
Absolutely. So reclaimingbirthconference.com, tickets will be up there shortly. We're hoping in the next couple weeks. You'll stay tuned for April when everything will be released in the early birds, but you can hop on the newsletter and the waiting list in the meantime. And stay tuned for when updates are released.
Fantastic. And we always end our segments with one question, and that is, if you could leave a mother or an expectant mother who's watching this with one message about birth or motherhood, what would it be?
Probably the same thing that Billy Harrigan said to me in the moment where I didn't know if I could continue on. And she said, "You can and you will. You are safe and you are strong, just like every other woman before you." That's what we're meant to do.
I love it. I love it so much. That's such a great little mantra just to have on everyday life.
Yes.
I love it. That's fantastic. But especially in the birth space. Kristen, thank you so, so much. This has been really insightful and very inspiring and empowering as a fellow mama. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom with us. And everybody, please go and check out reclaimingbirthconference.com. I think it's going to be such a fantastic, beautiful experience.
Yeah, we're really excited. It is going to be a great day.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Thank you for being here. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Hello, my name is Dawn Richardson, and welcome to Advocacy Lifeline. You're live here on CHD TV. Thank you so much for joining us today. The purpose of this show is to empower you, our viewers, to be able to use your voice to affect change in law, policy, and public opinion through education and action for issues that are important to you and your family. This is not to be construed as legal or medical advice. It's not. These are my opinions and not necessarily the opinions of Children's Health Defense or NVIC, the National Vaccine Information Center, where I work full-time as the Director of Advocacy. We're going to be talking about today freedom protection legislation your state needs now. Very fitting with what's going on at the Capitol right now. And we're going to concentrate on state-based legislation. And I'm really excited today about today's show to share some concrete steps you can take to influencing your legislators to establish a Citizens' Bill of Rights to preemptively protect your freedoms, prohibit discrimination, and prohibit mandates in many areas of your life, including your finances, privacy, medical care, employment, energy use, personal family gardening and farming, access to rainwater collection, and the application of artificial intelligence. Y'all know I monitor state-based legislation for my job with NVIC. I have read thousands and thousands of bills in all the years that I've been involved in state-based legislative advocacy. And every once in a while, I come across a bill that can serve as models or as a model for legislators for all other states. One such great bill is Oklahoma's Senate Bill 1785, sponsored by State Senator Shane Jett. The bill was given the name Citizens' Bill of Rights. Think back to what we all lived through starting in 2020. People lost their jobs over the COVID vaccine. Families were divided, small businesses were shut down, and your ability to travel, work, and take part in everyday life got tied to whether or not you complied. Here's the deal. We can't afford to wait for the next emergency to find out which of our freedoms can disappear overnight. We need a Citizens' Bill of Rights to protect us before the next crisis, prohibiting discrimination and mandates across the parts of our lives that dictate whether or not we can survive as free to make our own decisions without being controlled by them or punished by them. punished for them. This is what Senate Bill 1785 does very clearly and efficiently. It goes even further to make sure the government or businesses can't punish you and shut you out of your normal life for dissenting. Many state legislators want to help, but they don't necessarily have the time to come up with solutions for problems they aren't personally committed to fixing. It all changes when you, their constituent, can present easy to follow solutions in the form of a bill or law from another state. In this regard, Senate Bill 1785 qualifies, in my opinion, as a model bill, one worth filing and passing in every state. Even if your legislator doesn't want to file a bill on these topics, he or she may know another legislator or colleague that will. Don't prejudge and not contact a legislator that you have reasons to believe won't be interested at all because of two reasons. Something may happen to them or out there in the world to change their mind. We could have never predicted what happened during COVID. And imagine if we already had some of these bills filed before COVID happened and then COVID hit, we would have been more likely to pass some of this legislation. And in fact, that is what happened later on. Many bills prohibiting mandates and discrimination, specifically around the COVID vaccine, were passed in the few years to come. However, we can't stop there because they're dropping all kinds of stuff. We've got media frenzy over, now we've got ticks, we've got with Lyme disease, we've got SARS, we had H1N5, we have all of these monkeypox or mpox. Like, there's always the disease of the day, disease du jour that they're cooking up. And then, of course, there's all of these other external threats coming from, terrorist organizations and different. There's no shortage of reasons to put us into lockdowns and restrict our freedoms, or should I say, excuses to do that. And they don't hold. And that's why, you need to talk to these legislators. Everybody can feel it. Something's coming. And you want to get these bills filed right away. And the second reason why you don't want to prejudge and not talk to your legislator, never underestimate the power of getting close to a staff member in an office. I can think of many, many examples where the legislator wasn't initially interested, but because of a personal interest of a key staffer who's important to the office, the legislator has taken up the cause. Also, legislators come and go, they're voted out, but staffers tend to stick around and they'll just move from office to office. And the longer they're with a legislator, they will rise in their position from just a legislative aide to sometimes even a legislative director. And then they get even more say. And so sometimes it takes more than one session to get some of these things passed. But if you can make some friends in that office, even if the legislator hasn't been receptive, it can go a long way to helping change things in the future. So there are a lot of provisions in this bill that are good, and it's worth sharing the whole bill, in my opinion. Some of these concepts may be new to you, and some are definitely forward-thinking to prevent certain problems. You don't have to talk about all of it to your legislators, but I wanted you to know about all of these provisions. You can choose the protections that are the most important to you and your family and focus on those when you share this information. I want to point out that Senate Bill 1785 didn't pass. As a matter of fact, it didn't even get a hearing. So that's why many people don't know about it. And like I just said, sometimes it takes more than one session to move a bill forward. It took me personally 4 sessions to work to get a conscientious exemption to vaccine mandates passed in the state of Texas. And I know with all the swirling threats out there that can be manipulated into more lockdowns and restrictions. We want the laws in place to protect us before any of this can happen. So there are 12 sections in Senate Bill 1785, and I'm going to walk you through them. The bill mostly lists things that the government and a business or anyone acting on their behalf is not allowed to do to you. Our producer is going to display the sections of the bill in the video as I summarize them to you. All right, so we're looking at the Citizens Bill of Rights, Senate Bill 1785 from the state of Oklahoma. In section 1, it just names the bill. It's called the Citizens Bill of Rights. And section 2, usually at the beginning of a bill, they make some definitions. So if there's a term that's used over and over again that you don't really know what the legislator is thinking that the term encompasses, they clearly define it. And that's what section 2 is. It defines citizens and government. A citizen and citizenry means a person who is both a United States citizen and a resident of Oklahoma. So just, to clarify what that means is if you're not a citizen of the United States, you don't get these protections. And if you're just a traveler from another state, you don't get coming into Oklahoma, you don't get these protections. This is for the people who live and reside in the state of Oklahoma. Now, government or governmental means any level of government, state or federal, plus any group acting on the government's behalf. So that's a pretty big, broad term encompassing not just your state government and your local government, but any subdivision like a city council or, even down on the very local level, as long as it's a governmental entity. All right, moving on to section 3. This is a very big section and it protects how you hold and spend your money. Yes, me, the vaccine policy person, is talking about how to protect your finances. Why is this important? Well, when you're dealing with a central bank digital currency or CBDC, which I know you've heard other speakers on other show host talking about this issue. We're talking about fully electronic currency, and it runs through a central system. So whoever controls it can see every purchase you make and can freeze, limit, or shut off your money with the push of a button. The danger here is that this power can be used to silence and punish dissenters by cutting off their ability to buy and sell, all without due process. This can literally destroy someone. So what this section does is it prohibits, subsection A, prohibits the government, a business, or anyone acting for them from doing any of these things. 1, forcing or coercing any digital money system without providing an equally viable currency alternative. This is basically a protection for gold, silver, cash, things like that. This is important to have hard currency in your hands, and this is important so you can't be cornered into an all-electronic monetary system with no other option. It also prohibits these entities from using a digital monetary system to monitor or control your spending habits or to block you from buying things you want and need. So that can be done with digital currency. They can turn it off and then all of a sudden you don't have access to your money, or they can even screen it and only approve it for certain purchases. And where this can be abused is if there's an administration or a political party in power that wants to control your spending habits based on political ideologies. They can do that in an all digital currency system. So this protection is very important. This bill in this subsection also denies legitimately earned money, or it also stops denying legitimately earned money or taking money out of your personal or business accounts as a way to control how you or your business behaves. And then the bill also prohibits keeping a database on individual citizens' purchases. And that's important too, because we're going to talk later when we talk about credit scoring. When they keep track of your purchases, they can penalize you for supporting certain types of products or services. Subsection B, this establishes your right to use gold and silver to secure goods and services in Oklahoma because they are considered legal tender under the U.S. Constitution. This also prohibits the government, a business, or anyone acting for them from forcing anyone to give an accounting of their gold or silver or take it without prior written consent. And you can't be punished in any way for using the protections in this section. Subsection C prohibits any financial institution, whether it is run by the government or it is a private company that operates in Oklahoma or has Oklahoma residents as customers, from doing these three things. 1, blocking, removing, restricting, or getting in the way of you spending your own legitimately earned digital money on goods and services because of your race, ethnicity, sex, gender, age, political party, who you associate with, your interests, or your personal medical decisions. We all saw prominent dissenters of what happened during COVID get debanked. We saw so many things restricting people, and this is really a concern as more and more people rely solely on digital currency. So this is really trying to offer a protection. I know you don't see a lot of this right now, but this type of thing has happened in China and in other areas. So it's concerning. And then subsection 2, it prohibits these organizations, so the government and business and anyone acting on their behalf, from blocking, removing, restricting, or getting in the way of you using your money to support a political party or activity you believe in. This is so important for the people who are challenging current political systems or political candidates or institutions, and using their voice so that they can't be shut down, for associating with certain viewpoints. Also, for using subsection 3, for prohibiting using your digital money as a tool to watch or control your behavior. And I know this sounds 1984-ish and like this is something, well, it's not really a problem right now. Look, we don't want to wait for it to be a problem. We want these protections in place so that when and if they do try and exercise control over your finances to try and shut you down, to shut down your voice, or to make life difficult for you, that these protections are already in place. This is very forward thinking and it's really important. All right, section 4. This prohibits the forced use of a digital ID. It is a serious concern that once a digital ID is required to work, travel, buy, and sell, it becomes a single switch that allows the government to track you and shut you out of normal life the moment you, quote unquote, fall out of line. This section prohibits the government, a business, or anyone acting for them to use a digital ID as a requirement in order to watch you, to let you buy goods and services, to let you travel or move around, or as a condition of employment. Section 5. This prohibits social credit scores. A social credit score is a system that tracks you and gives you a grade based on how you live, what you believe, and the decisions you make. It can be used as a basis to punish people, again, for not falling in line. Communist China uses social credit scores to control their citizens. This section specifically says the government, a business, or anyone acting for them cannot set up or run any kind of personal social credit scores that grade citizens on their habits, their activities, who they associate with, or their positions on political, social, and environmental issues. What comes to mind is, you don't want people to get a lower score because they're driving a gasoline-powered automobile over an electronic vehicle, or whether or not they have appliances that use fossil fuels or anything of the like. There's so many different examples, but again, in a free country, or what we're supposed to have as a free country, this seemed far-fetched, but so did everything that happened during COVID. So this is a protection and insurance policy to protect the people in the state so that should certain ideologies become in control of state government, that this type of thing can't happen. It also may offer some protection if it happens on a federal level through, unauthorized agent or illegitimate agency rules or some other factor. So it's very good to prohibit social credit scoring. Don't want that to happen. People should be free to make their own decisions. All right, Section 6. This is something that is near and dear to me and so many people that I know. This section prohibits medical procedure mandates, including vaccination, and prohibits discrimination and punishment based on the refusal of a medical mandate or a vaccination. I consider this section to be the COVID 2.0 Protection Act. That's what this one little section does. We never want to go through this again. Just this section alone is worth filing a bill for. This section protects your right to refuse a medical procedure without punishment. The government, a business, or anyone acting for them cannot force you to undergo a medical procedure, including vaccination. They are also prohibited from punishing you, denying your unalienable rights, or restricting your employment, your movement, or who you associate with just because you decided not to have a particular medical procedure. This, along with some of the other sections, is a good stoppage. It prevents any kind of vaccine passports, being able to move about in society based on these medical decisions. Also, it prohibits an employer from discriminating against you or refusing employment based on your job. Because remember, this is prohibiting a government, a business, or anyone acting on their behalf from doing this stuff to you. So this language is really great because it's very encompassing and it covers a lot of different areas. So this is a great section. All right, moving on to Section 7. This protects your energy choices and prohibits carbon credit scores. We have seen the different political parties prioritize different energy sources. This section protects your right to use the kind of energy you want and not be tracked or punished because of that decision. Carbon credits, or a carbon credit score, is a system that measures how much carbon you use. In other words, fossil fuels like gasoline, natural gas, heating oil, and then it scores, limits, or charges you based on it. So this subsection A prohibits the government, a business, or anyone acting for them from tracking your carbon usage, setting up any kind of carbon credit score, or assigning carbon credits to any business or to citizens. We've seen, initiatives to try and encourage businesses to move in the direction of certain energy. But we also have seen when parts of the country have undergone a deep freeze or other environmental type of weather patterns or other things where all of a sudden some of the greener forms of energy have not been available. It's really hard when it's minus 15 degrees and blizzard situation, and it's hard to rely on solar at that point. Sometimes having some fossil fuels providing energy, life-saving energy at that point is important. So that's going to help protect against those scenarios where we get in too far, too deep without having reliable, steady energy sources. Also, for subsection B, this prohibits the government, a business, or anyone acting for them from tracking, restricting, or penalizing you, or taking away your personal freedom to use whatever type of energy you prefer. Types of energy include but aren't limited to electricity, natural gas, propane, wind, solar, and geothermal. So it goes both ways. It's to protect your choices so that you have choices as a consumer and as a citizen. Subsection C prohibits the government, a business, or anyone acting for them from tracking, restricting, or penalizing you for using an appliance that runs on a particular fuel, with propane and natural gas named as examples. This subsection is trying to prevent the insanity like what is happening in New York, where it became the first state to effectively ban gas stoves and other fossil fuel appliances in the new construction. In most new construction through the All Electric Buildings Act, litigation challenging this is actually ongoing. So it's not out of question that some government may try and prevent you from using a gas stove. That's crazy. It's happening in the United States. So let's stop this insanity from happening in other places. Okay, Section 8. This protects, I love this section. This protects home gardens, family farms, and rainwater collection. These activities are essential to self-sufficiency and survival and should be protected. They become even more important when you have a situation of government restriction, lockdowns, because sometimes this may be the only way to be able to feed your family or to be able to have viable potable water to be able to survive. You can't survive without water. And this section prohibits the government, a business, or anyone acting for them from doing these three things: tracking, restricting, or penalizing you for having a personal garden to feed your family. We've seen municipalities tell people you can't grow vegetables in your front yard, or you can't have a garden in your front yard. Homeowners associations have restricted that. That is crazy. People should be able to grow their food to feed their family. Also, it prohibits the government, a business, or anyone acting for them from deciding for you or keeping track of how the food you grow, process, or preserve for your own family gets used. They can't set up restrictions on it and, oh, you can only have a few tomato plants, like or something. They can't do that. So this is a great prohibition. Also, it prohibits them from tracking, restricting, or penalizing you for keeping a family animal farm to feed your family. There are areas, municipalities, and neighborhood associations that would prohibit you from having backyard chickens for producing eggs, or for having an animal that grazes to produce milk. Like, we have a neighbor that has a couple of goats in their front yard, and every time I walk by, they come over to the fence and I pet them. They're so cute, and it makes me think maybe I should get some goats just to have them. They're fun as pets, and they serve a purpose. They never have to cut their lawn, and they can provide milk. So these are just some examples of family gardening and farming that would be protected and are essential during emergency shutdowns and things of that such. This subsection B in this section also prohibits the government, a business, or anyone acting for them from denying you or restricting you in any way from collecting and storing rainwater for your own use. I am so concerned about water systems in the country as these AI super centers, these data centers are being built in different areas, and they require a lot of water for cooling. The high capacity, these chips from processing, they generate a lot of heat. And if they're getting water from the water table, and people are relying on wells, and the water table drops because they're sucking all this water, or they're taking it from reservoirs and lowering levels, it is concerning. And rainwater is a viable alternative or a backup system so that your family has water. And we've seen areas of the country, Colorado's been restrictive of rainwater in the past, and we've seen it happen. So it's important to be able to have access. If y'all want to collect your rainwater, collect it and have it and use it. So anyway, let's move on to section 9. All right. These are what's called legislative findings, and they are the topic of artificial intelligence. So before a bill sets rules on artificial intelligence or proposed laws, it lays out what the legislature believes about it. This is really important to establish something called legislative intent. Legislative intent is often referred to when there's litigation challenging certain laws. So these are the findings, meaning this is the reasoning behind the rules that are going to come on artificial intelligence in the next section. So subsection A says the legislature finds that AI has the potential to do a lot of good for people. The danger isn't in the AI itself, it's how AI gets programmed by people, what the bill calls the human element. Subsection B says the legislature finds that the fight over who controls AI and where it goes will touch every part of how people live together. It says that this is more this is about more than AI alone. It also includes biotechnology and more advanced forms of AI heading towards what is called the singularity, the point where AI becomes smarter than people and can improve itself. The legislature also finds that to protect everyone's basic rights, some limits have to be identified so that people's freedom, privacy, and liberty are fully protected. And subsection D is a little more prescriptive. It says that AI and related biotechnology shall not be used to discriminate against you based on your race, ethnicity, sex, gender, age, political party, party affiliations, or individual interests. This is really important. We're going to see some examples in the next section, section 10. It shows you what's coming. This section 10 establishes guardrails on artificial intelligence. This section turns those legislative findings in the previous section into actual laws that can be passed. As AI gets less expensive, more available, and more capable, businesses will replace human workers faster than those workers can find new jobs, wiping out whole categories of work and leaving families without the income, the benefits, and the stability that a paycheck provides. This section tries to compensate for that. Subsection A prohibits the government, a business, or anyone acting for them from using AI and biotechnology to do any of these 6 things. 1, decide who lives and who dies in any life or death situation. We've just seen, a recent incident where Texas Children's Hospital didn't want to maintain life support on a little girl who almost drowned. Can you imagine if these decisions were made by artificial intelligence, just looking things up, hospital policies, weighing insurance, and all of these things? It's terrible that to remove the human element, and this will prevent that from happening in life or death situations. Also, it won't allow them to decide who does or doesn't get medical care and how much care they get. Imagine you have an elderly parent in the hospital and they're needing some kind of a medical procedure, and AI does a cost benefit analysis. Well, it's not worth it for this. Can you imagine? That would be horrible. So this is forward thinking, trying to prevent that from happening. I'm sure it already happens to a certain degree, but deferring all this to an artificial intelligence to make these decisions, that has to be prevented. We've seen many instances where people have rallied and come from behind through faith, prayer, and just that their body is able to get better, and AI should not be cutting off those options for people to receive care. Also, it prevents it also stops the government or any of these businesses from deciding who does or doesn't get insurance coverage or how much coverage they get. Again, just deferring to a computer model to do this and to automatically set these things can be devastating for people, and they're trying to prevent that. Also prohibits replacing a human worker unless an equally valuable human worker is hired somewhere else in the state to make up for it. The bill spells out how equal value is figured, the worker's salary, whether the job is full-time or part-time, and the benefits. And any worker who's replaced by AI has to be given 6 months of pay plus a benefits package equal to what they had before they were replaced. It's not about not being efficient here and utilizing technology. Technology is really rapidly advancing faster than policy can keep up. And this just puts some transition protections in place so as AI becomes more prevalent and people's jobs are being lost, that it gives some protection so that people can have some time for their families to be able to feed their families and survive as they transition. It's a very interesting idea here. Also prohibits watching people's habits or making any decisions in a court of law by relying on AI and biotechnology, and also deciding the outcomes in any form of gambling within the state. Man, I would have never thought of that, but some states do have gambling, and if a business is, using AI to do deciding the outcomes of any form of gambling, it can be, not like as I don't know, as it's not the chance that usually happens with gambling, but it can be rigged, it can be manipulated. So I can see the concern here. It's not something I thought of before, but I love how forward thinking this is and just putting these guardrails up in place. Subsection B prohibits the government, a business, a financial institution, or anyone acting for them from using your tax dollars, savings, or pension funds to pay for any AI or biotechnology project without either your individual written approval or a majority vote of Oklahoma citizens. This is important so that people's views and beliefs aren't just trampled over in the name of progress, that society as a whole to be able to review the benefits and the risks and mitigate some of these risks without having the government just taking your money to do this. So this is a great subsection as well. Subsection C requires the government, a business, a financial institution, or anyone acting for them to notify citizens within 90 days after this law takes effect in writing whether their tax dollars, savings, or pension funds are already being used for any part of AI research or implementation. A lot of people have their 401ks, their IRAs, they invest them in stock funds, and sometimes if these are heavily reliant on AI implementation or research, some people may have some concerns about that. So this would allow that kind of a notification so that people could, know, and if they want to make different investing decisions, they could do that. So, all right, this is one of my favorite sections in every bill because it deals with penalties, and without some kind of consequences for not following the law, the laws don't have any teeth. People can just ignore them and there's no consequences. So section 11, it states that if the government, a business, a financial institution, or anyone acting for them violates any part of this bill, they can be held responsible in court. And if they're found guilty, there are going to be financial consequences. They're going to have to pay the legal fees of the citizens affected, and they have to start paying those fees even before the case reaches a final decision. We've seen huge industries like oil and gas or pharmaceutical industry drag out litigation for years to intimidate or squash the person bringing the claim. This would make sure that that's not allowed to happen. Great forward thinking, great protection here. They also would have to pay restitution, which that term means paying people back for the harm that they endured during this time period, and any penalties the court decides on. So there will be financial consequences if businesses, the government, or anyone acting on them, for them, are not complying with this law should it be passed. Very important to have that. Sometimes that's all businesses understand is the financial consequences of violating a law. And, if we have to rely on them for doing it out of the goodness of their heart or because it's the right thing to do, a lot of times if it's not financially more beneficial for them, they just won't do it unless there's a threat of more financial pain to come for consequences for not following the law. And that's what this section is all about, is establishing those penalties. And section 12 finally just says if the bill passes, the law goes into effect right away. This clause about an emergency existing and needing for it to pass right away is important, and every state, as far that I've seen, has one of these emergency clauses available. And this is important to have in a bill, because what if during the legislative session there is some kind of quote unquote emergency and some of these things start happening? You want the legislature to be able to move quickly, pass it, and have it go into effect immediately to protect citizens. So some of these features in this bill are definitely preemptive protections. You may not have thought about some of these issues before, but they are concerns, and these aren't from out in the future of some, esoteric perceived possible threat. Some of these things are happening in other parts of the world, in the United States, and these are protections. I wanted to say in the show notes, I provided the link to Oklahoma legislature's page for Senate Bill 1785. So you can go to the show on CHD TV's website. You can grab that link and send this link to your state representative and senator and ask them to consider filing a bill either just like this one, or you can highlight what sections you would like for them to file in your own state. There's also a transcript of the show posted on the CHD TV website with this show. So you'll be able to pull that if you want to. So I just want you to know you don't have to sit back here and worry about what if this happens or what if that happens. Sometimes it just takes bringing these issues to your legislator and talking about it. You may strike a nerve with them. They may be interested in filing. They may know somebody who would be willing to file a bill like this. I have seen individual policies, bills pass on one person advocating for them. It happens. And also in the process of you communicating these issues with your legislators, maybe they'll be more in tune when they hear maybe an amendment on another bill that does something bad on this. They're a little more educated. Maybe they'll jump in and rally and speak on the floor for not passing that offensive part of the bill or amendment. So you never know where this education can go. So please don't hesitate. You have the power to educate lawmakers. And listen, if you're not doing it, the only thing they're hearing are from the industries that benefit. That's who they're hearing from, the industries that benefit from some of these oppressive policies being instituted. So please contact your legislators, share this information. In closing, I just want to say there will always be new threats, but remember the words of Benjamin Franklin: those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Freedom isn't free. It takes vigilance and work to protect. Please share this episode with others. Anybody can share these ideas with their state legislators so they can file bills in their state to put some of these protections in place in their state. On the CHD TV website, under shows, pick Advocacy Lifeline, copy the link to this week's show and share it. You can also, please do sign up for the NVIC Advocacy Portal at nvicadvocacy.org. And I know we have this bill posted there. I focus on the vaccination issues because it's the National Vaccine Information Center there, but there is some information on there as well. And you will want to know when these bills are moving and what to do. And we cover all of that with the prescribed action to take and summaries and descriptions and position statements, all to help you to be able to communicate with your legislators. So please consider making a donation to the Children's Health Defense and the National Vaccine Information Center so we can continue to bring you this type of information that you're really not getting anywhere else. I mean, I'm going to kind of bet here that you hadn't heard about this bill or some of these protections before, but we're bringing it to you today. So I want to give you all a special thanks for being out here, listeners on the show today. We really appreciate you, and we know your voice makes a difference, and we're here to help you use it. We will be back on the show 2 weeks from today on Wednesday morning, June 24th at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 Central, and 7:30 Pacific. God bless y'all. God bless America. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.
My name is Samantha.
And you are a nurse.
I'm a registered nurse for 14 years.
Tell everyone what Tyson is, because some people don't know.
I was employed by Tyson Pet Foods for 16 years, for 6 of the 14 years that I've been a nurse. And they are a food producer. They chicken, beef, and pork. They actually kill the hogs and the chickens and then produce foods from those, whether it be Jimmy Dean sausage, bacon, and beef, and then they also do, like say, from the 3 meats: chicken, beef, and pork. And I worked at the pork place that made sausage.
And you were a nurse there in case of injury?
Yeah, in case of injury and physicals, just general sickness. But yeah, every employee had to have a physical, and I did those. And then they had to do a hearing test every year. And then if we had injuries within the factory, we had to take care of those as well.
So talk to us about what happened. Talk us through the whole thing with you being fired.
They made a mandate that we had to have the COVID vaccine, and we had 90 days to get it, to make the decision to get it, and I chose not to get it. And they fired me. My last day was November the 1st, actually October the 29th, and then I actually went back to work on November the 1st because the deadline was November the 1st at 12 p.m., so I went on in anyways. And they tried everything they could to get us to take it, from bribery to threats. They had a lottery out front that if you took the vaccine, that your name went into a lottery, and they gave away $10,000 a week for 8 weeks. And it was just everything. People would come to you and ask you, they threatened you. My boss came to me, well, the plant manager came to me and told me that if I wasn't going to take the vaccine, that I needed to keep my mouth shut. Do not be expressing my opinion of the vaccine. People got to where they didn't talk to me anymore. People, when they did, it was like, you need to take the vaccine or just stay. All you got to do is take the vaccine. And I put in a religious exemption, and that was denied. I put in a medical as well, and they put me on what they call a leave of absence plus, which was really nothing. I was unemployed for a year, and after that year, I was terminated. They supplied uniforms for me because I was a nurse, and I was supposed to return those. They did, like I said, they did everything they could to get you to take the vaccine, as far as, like I say, the bribery and the threatening and constant emails every day, and calls from even my boss, the corporate boss, called and told me that if I did not take the vaccine, that my job would be posted. And it was posted before I even left the factory.
So as a nurse, would you have been expected to give the vaccine to the people there?
The company did pay for the vaccines, but no, they brought in outside people to do it, because I would not have given the vaccine because I was so against it. And I'm sure that probably would have been another reason I would have been terminated, refusing to do my job.
Now, also, you said you had a recording. Talk to us about that. I know you can't show it to us, but tell us what it's about.
I just recorded everything. Anytime that they called me to the office or called me on the phone and wanted to talk to me about the vaccine, I was called into the office, the HR manager's office, and she told me that I had put in a letter to be, for a medical exemption and a religious exemption. She was letting me know that I had been denied. And I asked her, could I record it? She said no. So from that forward, anytime I went to her office, I recorded everything. I also recorded my corporate boss, the big boss, telling me that my job was going to be posted. Anything that I needed to record, I did. Them telling me that I was going to be terminated.
And you're in a lawsuit?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There's several of us. Yes, my lawyer is Robert Barnes, and he is just fighting against Tyson because unfairly we were, unfairly fired. I mean, there is a law against it. I mean, we have the right to refuse a vaccine, and he's our lawyer. There are several of us in the case all across the country. And so far, we've made some grounds. In federal court, they know that they didn't do us right. They didn't follow the law. I mean, we do have rights as Christians to deny that vaccine, and I did.
Why did you not take the vaccine? What's wrong with that?
I do not think it was for me. I am a Christian, and I do not believe that we should put things like that in our bodies. I prayed about it. And I just refused it. I believe I have a religious right to not take a vaccine.
Do you know people that took it and got very sick or injured from it?
Yes. Yes. I know people that have taken the vaccine and have passed away. And we believe it's from the vaccine. I don't believe a doctor will ever tell you it's from the vaccine. I actually have a cousin that worked at the Tyson plant in Union City that passed away from a heart attack. Some of my fellow nurses that also were fired from Tyson for not taking the vaccine actually counseled a girl on she had to make her own decision. She passed away from it, from the Union City plant. I believe there are family members. One, I have a sister-in-law that took it, and she's had nothing but trouble since. I mean, all kinds of health problems since. I only have one member of my family that took the vaccine, and that was my sister-in-law. No one else has. My father did not take it. He's 81 years old. He has 2 types of cancer, and he refused to take it. So I have several family members that have not taken it. There's like 13 in my immediate family.
Are you working now? Do you have a job?
Yes, I am. I am working now.
Good. Good.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to add to the story?
Anything you want? Just about how we were harassed, just constantly being harassed, told I had to take the vaccine, I wouldn't have it, and that's not right. They did us wrong. It changed my life. I was planning on retiring at that place. At my age, I was ready to find a job to settle down and retire, and it changed the course of my life. I mean, I'm still a nurse, but I now work in a prison, and you think I risk my life every day going in there, every day, I just don't think Tyson or any other company has the right to tell a person they have to take a vaccine.
And you stood firm. That's what
yes, I did. Yes, I was fired. I was fired for not taking a vaccine, and that's wrong.
It is wrong. Thank you for telling us.
Thank you so much. Anything you want to add?
This and all CHD TV programming is made possible by generous support from viewers like you. Please consider making a contribution today to keep our programming going strong. Thank you.